Hey guys, I'm Lindsay Serrato with Sizzix, and today we're going to go over some tips and techniques for using this Wildflower frame Impresslit. Now with any Impresslit, you could always go with the basic surfaces like Brite-Ons or foil adhesive sheets, something that stands out beautifully on its own. Or you can take your Wildflower frame on any color paper of your choice and apply some ink to the top of it just to give it that little extra bit of dimension. But what I'm really excited to show you is how to take distress inks and distress powders and use them with your Impresslit to give it that extra special look. So what I'm gonna start with is a brayer, and I choose one side of my folder to start applying some Versamark ink onto it. Once I've applied my Versamark thoroughly onto one side of the folder, I want to take my piece of paper, tuck it in there nicely, and then I'm actually going to use tab 1 on my multi-purpose platform for my textured impressions. And I'm going to sandwich this in between two cutting pads and roll it on through. I want to make sure not to let the paper on the inside fuss around because I don't want any of the Versamark to move around. Now what I end up with when I open this is some Versamark on just the edges that I applied it to that inside of the folder. I'm going to take some distress powder and just completely dump it all over my piece of paper. Don't worry about wasting it because we're gonna dump it back in here once we're done. Once you've removed all your excess powder, you might notice that there's some unwanted powder around, and you can just take a soft bristle brush and wipe that away. But just be careful because you can accidentally wipe the powder away that you do want to keep. So just take your time and be gentle. Once you're satisfied with the powder on your project, we're gonna take a heat tool and start applying it to each area that we want to secure. And with distress powder, you might not notice the change from the heat, but just a couple seconds on each little bit will do. With embossing powder, you'll notice that color change very easily. Here's our finished sample. And I just want to point out that you can invert your patterns based on which side of the folder you place your brayer on. Now this side where we've actually colored the petals is the side with the thinlit. And then over here where we've just outlined the petals of the flowers is the opposite side of the folder. That's something to keep in mind when you want to add color to your flowers later. So these are just different examples of things you can do. This one, we used pink paper and then some embossing powder rather than distress powder, some white. And then just to embellish the flowers, I took some lavender Copic markers and just popped those out. Now remember when we talked about inverting our patterns? I took some gold embossing powder and then I colored each set a different way. So remember, since we didn't outline these flowers, I can take those Copic markers and create a beautiful outline around here. And on this one, we didn't color the petals with embossing powder, so now I can take some colored pencils or even watercolors and color those in. Now that you have some great tips and techniques for Impresslits, go grab your Wildflower frame and start making.